Hi, my name is Charlie Benoit, and I'm here on behalf of those who are suffering with a glioblastoma, but actually I'm on behalf of all types of cancer. Anyone who is dealing with cancer and fighting cancer can find some benefit from seeing this movie. We are trying to help people, give them hope that you can survive this cancer, that there are people that survive. I am a living witness to surviving this cancer at almost 14 years now. But I attack it through a number of ways. I attack it with a positive attitude. Whenever my doctor says something new is happening, we need to do this, I say I'm in, I'll do it. But I want to do anything I can to help them find a cure for this cancer. The other three things that I recommend highly is living your faith, leaning on your family, and leaning on your friends. And having a positive attitude will bring you through this cancer and any cancer. You can learn from this film as Paul Bayne taught us. So you're going to meet him very shortly, and stick around for the credits. They're very good. And then I'm going to come back on and tell you a little bit more about what you can do to help cancer patients and where you can donate. Thanks very much.
Good evening. The political world tonight is mourning the death of Beau Biden, the son of Vice President Joe Biden, who succumbed to brain cancer Saturday at the age of 46.
4 days before his 82nd birthday. The Republican senator hailing from Arizona had been battling an aggressive form of brain cancer since July of 2017. On Friday, Senator McCain's family issued this statement announcing his decision to discontinue medical treatment.
GBM, as we often call it, is a tumor that begins in the brain and spreads throughout the brain.
"17 months ago, I was diagnosed with glioblastoma. It's a very aggressive form of brain cancer. The average lifespan of somebody who has glioblastoma is 14 months post-diagnosis. So being 17 months is great. Tuesday before Thanksgiving, 34 days after I started at Santander, I walked in the house after work, and all of a sudden this mouse pointer, just like on your computer mouse, it appeared in my vision. It's just sitting there, and everywhere I looked, it just followed me. And I thought, well, this is weird. Well, I'd had migraine headaches in the past. I thought, well, maybe this is just and I heard about optical stuff happening with migraines, and I thought, well, maybe this is some of that. So took some migraine medication, went to bed early. Woke up about 5 o'clock the next morning, so I'd get ready for work, and it was still there. So I sent my boss a text and said, something's going on. I'm gonna go see the doctor. I'll let you know what's happening later today. The optometrist gave me a full exam, including some things that I'd never seen before, with colored lights and dots appearing and disappearing on the screen. And when I was done, she said, all right, give me a few minutes to look at the results. Across the bottom, about half of what you'd expect in a normal person's vision was not there. I couldn't see anything that happened there. This is something that's involving the brain. It's not an eye problem. This could be a stroke. And so they sent me to the hospital. So I got to the hospital. They took a look at me, started running some tests, and decided to keep me overnight. On Friday, they said that it looked like I had a mass in my brain. I said, well, what is it? He said, well, it's probably cancer. And that was the first time that somebody had mentioned cancer. And that just kind of backed me up. I was really surprised. In retrospect, I probably shouldn't have been, but I was surprised because I didn't expect to have cancer. Nobody expects to get a diagnosis that they have cancer.
I was stunned, disbelief. But then, the old mother instinct came through, and I wanted to be there with him. I wanted to help him. Oh my, this is hard. I couldn't.
She's taken it as well as she can. She says, Paul, we're praying for you. Get well. But she understands that there's the possibility that he'll never beat this cancer.
Each year in the US, there are over 80,000 people who get primary brain tumors. These are tumors that develop in the brain. And almost 200,000 people have brain tumors that spread there from other parts of the body. So it's a significant problem. I think when you have a brain tumor, your life changes overnight.
Brain tumor is a conglomeration of cells of abnormal growth within the skull or even within the brain. A craniotomy is an approach for us to access a brain tumor through the skull. My name is Dr. Florian Rosa. I'm neurosurgeon at the Department of Neurosurgery of the Cleveland Clinic, Abu Dhabi. And I'm part of a team of neurosurgeons who take care of patients harboring a brain tumor. For me, it is very important to build up a very good relationship with the patient, because every craniotomy might have a major impact in the life of the patient, so we really have to trust each other. The brain is a very complex organ. The positioning is everything. So how do we access this tumor without injuring the adjacent healthy brain? We will do a skin incision and flap the skull over and clip it accordingly. We're going to do one burr hole and cut the bone flap open, which will be replaced later on. We have to cut the dura open to see the underlying brain tissue. Once we identify the tumor, we get into the microscope, and with microsurgical instruments, we first remove the inner part of the tumor until we go to the edges, making sure that the healthy brain is being preserved while resecting the tumor completely. We will close the dura in a watertight fashion. The bone flap will be replaced and fixed with very tiny mini plates, and the skin will be closed. The patients have to know that the surgeries in the brain are risky and difficult procedure.
Dr. Toms comes in and says, well, it looks like it's a glioma, which is a type of brain cancer. And he was able to it was like a nodule, and he was able to just kind of pop it out. It was right on the surface, and he was able to just kind of pop it out and snip it and take it right out. So he said things looked pretty good. Well, I go back to see him for my follow-up a week later, and he says it's not a glioma, it's a glioblastoma, which is fairly different from a glioma. Glioblastoma is a very aggressive form of brain cancer. It doesn't hold together in a ball or a nodule like a glioma does, but it tends to spread out, kind of, the cancer cells kind of float all around the brain, and it can go anywhere. So and it moves very fast. It grows very, very fast. So I was having a hard time dealing with this. And what am I gonna do? How am I gonna make sure everybody gets taken care of? And I was talking to my counselor and came up with two things. The first one is, don't be defined by your diagnosis. I am not glioblastoma. I am Paul Bayne, and I have a diagnosis of glioblastoma. I have a family, I have children, I have friends, I do all of these things within the community. That is who I am.
Taking out the tumor not only helps the patient live longer, but it also provides tissue that allows the tumor to be analyzed with all the molecular testing that's now available, and that can help influence care. And then I think the next step is really to find a neuro-oncologist who can help them decide on what treatment to have.
I talked with the oncologist about what we wanted to do, and he said, well, we need to do radiation. We do a radiation treatment, and Temodar, which is the first drug. It was 40 days of radiation.
Fancy running into you.
Morning, buddy.
Good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man.
I picked up the paper, and the first thing Erich says is, "Are you on the cover?" And I was like, "No, not this one. I've been on a lot of them, but not this one." My name is Charlie Benoit. I'm a glioblastoma survivor. I was diagnosed in 2011 with my tumor. When I say I'm an 8-year survivor, 7.5 years, 8 years, eyes go wide, and especially physicians, they can't believe it. I mean, I can count basically on two hands the number of people that I know that are farther out than I am. It's not the norm. It just isn't. But there's nothing like being able to talk to someone and meet someone who is battling the same thing that you're battling.
And down to the radiation oncology, where I get zapped.
You are taking high doses of chemo, high doses of radiation. I had 6 weeks of radiation. So you have to aggressively treat the area around where the tumor was in case it had already deposited a few cells outside the area. Typically, they radiate 2 centimeters around because that's the most likely place it will start growing again. They make a mask of your face, and they lock you in place because you can't have any movement because the radiation is now mapped to where the tumor was.
All right, Paul, so you're not going to see anything, you're not going to feel anything. The machine's just going to move right around you, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
You'll hear some buzzing noises, but it's all normal. And the table's just gonna move a little bit like that. That's just us correcting off the x-rays, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
We'll have you out of here in about 10-15 minutes.
think about when you're there?
Is this gonna be over soon? Am I gonna start losing my hair? Is this gonna make me more tired?
Okay, Paul, awesome job. I'm gonna get you right down.
You did great.
Doing okay?
Yeah.
Get this mask off of you. The table's still up very high, so just don't sit up quite yet.
Okay.
Did great.
Oops.
Sit there if you're dizzy, okay? Take a minute.
All right.
Get your bearings.
Just glad it's done.
Over and done with.
Over and done with. One more down.
Got it.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Let's go.
But it's quick, and you're done. And you go home, and you're not tired, and you don't feel any ill effects. It's sort of, that was it. It's not like your hair falls out after the first treatment, or you feel exhausted after the first treatment. It's all cumulative. It builds on itself.
And at first, I felt fine, and so I kept working. I started it in January, first week in January. I started taking the radiation every morning, and I felt pretty good for about 2.5 weeks. And then I woke up one day, and I felt like I had a pile of rocks on my chest. I could not move. I was absolutely exhausted. And so I called my boss, and they told me that this might happen. So I called my boss and I said, I cannot make it in. I'm absolutely exhausted. And I ended up sleeping for about 14 hours that day.
And it gets harder and harder as the treatments go on. And yet you still don't know what real fatigue is.
And it kind of started to be that pattern that I would sleep all the time. The nurse practitioner that I saw, Brittany Fontana, who was great, she really encouraged me to get out and walk around and get up and be active.
Studies show that fatigue, surprisingly, is the most troublesome symptom for patients. It's the symptom that disrupts their life the most. And so Paul and I were talking about how to handle this fatigue. And one thing I said to him is, you have to remember, fatigue feeds fatigue. So if you're really tired and you want to take a nap, try to walk for 15 minutes. Go for a 15-minute walk. I tell that to a lot of patients because if you're fatigued and you take a nap and you just want to sleep all day, well, your fatigue will just get worse.
Springtime, everything's coming back. It's pretty awesome. The world renews.
If you still need a nap, by all means, take a nap. Your body needs it. But sometimes you'll go for a walk for 15 minutes, come back and go, I feel pretty good. I don't need a nap after all.
I'm still tired. I'm gonna lay down.
Dana-Farber gets it right in that it's not just the treatment, it's everything surrounding that. It's supporting the family members, the caregivers, the patient themselves, mentally, spiritually, and just through, a shared experience, and that's what makes us special. I think a mentor gives them hope just by talking with them. I mean, the fact that there's someone on the other end of that telephone that has gone through what you've gone through, just that connection gives that patient or that caregiver who's watching the patient go through this experience something that can't be replaced by a conversation with a physician or a conversation with a nurse. It's that personal connection, that peer support that's just unmatched.
Knowing that I have survived as long as I have I mean, and I knew this at 2 years out. I knew that was already a feat that had beaten the odds. I decided I needed to get involved in this even more, so that's about when I became a mentor. And I now mentor for 3 different groups. The Immerman Angels, the one-to-one program based out of Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, and also for the Norwell VNA, for the Visiting Nurse Association. I will always accept them. I've never turned anyone down. I can handle taking phone calls, sitting on the couch, you know, and taking phone calls and just talking, and it's just a conversation. I don't offer any medical advice, you know, other than, you know, this is what I did. You should talk to your team, talk to your doctor, because maybe they can offer you a solution. But some people are afraid. They don't want to bother their doctor, or they're afraid to ask their doctor. And I tell them, no, that's the first person you should go to. You know, you got to trust your team.
So a couple weeks later, I went back to work. They started me on the Temodar, which is standard protocol. A month later, they did another scan, another MRI, to see how the cancer was doing. And the protocols vary, how long the interim is between MRIs. And the MRI came back and showed that the tumor was back. I got very, very frustrated. And at this point, it's springtime, summertime, early summer, and I'm starting to feel really frustrated. You know, because I've had brain surgery, I've had two different types of medicines. The average lifespan's 14 months, and I'm like now 5 months into this. You know, so that's a lot of stress. And you know, what am I going to do? I came up with the idea that I needed to pretend occasionally that I had Tourette's syndrome, and so I could just walk around and go, shit, fuck, damn it, just whenever my stress level got too high, and it just helped get it out, you know, get it out a little bit, that anger and that frustration, just get it out. Okay, all right, I'm gonna get through this. And through this, my church family have been fantastic.
The idea that God is like with us and knows what it's like to feel pain and all of the physical struggles that we feel. I think it's important when you talk to someone who has, you know, a terminal diagnosis, to just let them know that just as God is with us in the beautiful moments of life that we all enjoy, and the time with the people we love, and the times in nature, and the beauty and the joys and the celebrations, yes, God's with us. God's with us every bit as much in the really hard times.
The tumor being back meant that the medicine didn't work, obviously. So they had to try something else. It was time to try something else. You know, 8 years is a long time. So how have you managed that? How did you manage to get out that long?
So I joined a clinical trial as a phase 1. You know, the beginning of a clinical trial.
Asking your doctor, you know, what are the current options, but also are there clinical trial options, I think is important for patients. You know, it's important to know that that option might exist. Clinical trials aren't for everyone, but I think clinical trials can be really beneficial, both for the patient who participates in the clinical trial, but also for future generations, to allow us to continually improve.
best quote I ever got was from Dr. Patrick Wen at Dana-Farber at one of the brain tumor updates at Dana-Farber, a conference that they do annually. He said to the crowd, if you don't join a clinical trial because you're afraid you're going to get placebo, then you're in the clinical trial because you're not taking the drug.
I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I said, you know what? I want to do the trials because whether it works or it doesn't work, it's going to help somebody else down the line. If it doesn't work, it's because they know that it doesn't work and they need to try something else. But I'll try this and see if it works for me. And if it works for me, then that means that somebody else, a year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years down the line, is going to have an option that's available to them. So they can kick this disease and they can survive this disease.
Okay.
My name's Luke Bayne. I'm Paul's youngest son. I remember that my parents had called my brothers home from college. I knew going into it that it was going to be something kind of big. Honestly, and I knew that there was a potential that he could die from it, but for some reason it just didn't worry me. And I remember my mom asking me, how are you doing? Are you okay? Do you want to talk about it? She thought I was hiding something. I genuinely wasn't worried about it. And it's still strange to me now as to why that was.
Honestly, I have survivor's guilt, and when I've had 3 major depressive bouts, survivor's guilt was part of it. Definitely for one, I lost. The hardest case, I didn't know if I wanted to bring this up, was about 2 years after I was diagnosed. A 17-year-old girl here in Scituate, the daughter of one of good friends of mine, hardest thing, was diagnosed with glioblastoma. I was devastated. I was as devastated as the parents, I think. She graduated with my son from high school, my oldest, which was a huge thing. Tried to go to college, but couldn't handle it. She was too weak. And she died on January 1st, 2018, January 1st. I mean, that is, to lose a child is the worst thing. And why me? That I have survivorship guilt to this day, because I don't understand why I'm still here. And she, this young, vibrant, beautiful girl, was taken. How unfair that is. And people, you know, if you've got a strong faith, you believe God has a plan. You know, and it's tough to say, but how, that's unfair. You know, how can that be God's plan?
So this question of how an all good and loving God can allow terrible evil to happen to the best of people is at the very heart and center of my faith. So the first thing I would say is that when people come to me as a priest or just as a human being and say, how can I understand this? How do I maintain my faith? You just permit the question. And in some ways, you stand next to people in those places, and you ask the same thing. And I, as a priest, I'm comfortable with that. I always say that there's plenty of questions that I'll have for God someday, you know, but again, you cling to the rock of faith, the rock of unconditional love. Because see, if the problem of evil is a question that we also have the alternative question, which is, where does goodness come from? Where does love come from? Where does the faith comes from that allows us to persevere through all of this? And in some ways, that's the much greater mystery for me in life. But in ministering to people, again, you have to really resist the temptation to heal and provide the solution and provide the quick answer, the pious platitude. Those things just aren't, they're not real.
Never talked with my family, my kids, about, that I'm going to die from this. We all die. I've always been very upfront and sort of blunt with my kids. Now, I couch it for my younger child, but I basically say, but I'm going to be around. Yes, I'm going to die at some point. My father died, and his father died. It's like we all have to go. I don't know when I'm going to go, but I'm going to be here as long as I can for you. I have faith in God, but I also have faith that God was guiding the hand of the surgeon.
It's like fighting a dragon, literally. This is what great stories are all about. It's like fighting a dragon, and you get this diagnosis, and you can either shrink away and shirk your responsibility, or you can just go right into that lair.
So in the fall of 2018, the cancer came back. So I had another surgery to take it out, very similar to the first. The tumor was about the size of a pinky nail on your little finger, so about that big. It's not very big. So Patrick and Luke are two of my sons, and Patrick said, make sure that you tell the surgeon that you've only got 2 working brain cells. And I'm laying there getting ready to go into surgery. I was like, thanks a lot, Patrick. So I go into surgery. I got Patrick there and Luke there. And I said, so Patrick, just to let you know, I talked with the surgeon and he said, forget the 2 working brain cells. This whole time I've been operating with half my brain tied behind my back, and he's fixed that. So take that. And Luke goes, 4 working brain cells, huh, Dad? Good luck with that. I love my boys.
What else can he or anyone with glioblastoma do to help improve their chances of survival?
I think that the treatment is an important but only one facet of what can help him. I think having a very supportive family as he does and friends, those are really important. Walking through this process alone is incredibly hard.
It was not one huge thing. It was a bunch of very small things by a bunch of different people.
The best thing you can do is not say, call me if I can help, because they're not going to call you. I think saying, I want to set up a meal train for you. I realize you can't drive. We're going to set up a ride. Can you share your appointments with me? And we'll put a calendar together and I'll send it out. And kind of not take over, but have an idea and present the idea.
I always say to people, because they'll say, oh, what do I say and what do I do? And I say, you don't have to say anything, just show up. Because they don't know what to say or do, they stay away. And I say, nope, just show up. And bringing food helps.
Hey, Paul?
Yes.
Here you go.
Hey, thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
One of the names for Christ is Emmanuel, God is with us. So just like being with being with someone as they experience the whole spectrum of life.
It should grow back in. Stop and smell the roses, seriously.
Doctors say I'm doing great. I'm 17 months out from a diagnosis where half the people don't make it to 14 months. We're here in Yosemite. This is a beautiful place. If you haven't been here, come here. If you have a beautiful place that you like to go to, don't wait. Go there, sit there, relax, enjoy it, and just breathe it in. And let its essence fill you. And that's what I do here. And am I gonna come back again? I don't know. I really don't know. It's in God's hands.
I ain't gonna tell that son of a gun. I'm going to go sneak up on his ass.
It is so good to see you.
I'm like, I ain't
This guy shows up after my surgery, and we're in the recovery area with Gustavo. We were laughing so hard. I mean, I just had brain surgery, right? We're laughing so hard. The nurse came in 3 times and told us to be quiet.
You know, there's, I listen to country music, and there's a song, Live Like You're Dying is the name of the song, and it's got all kind of awards and stuff, and you still go, you know, go ride the bull for 8 seconds and jump off a hang glider and all these sort of things, and I think, you know, to some degree, you don't really have a choice. You're out of time. You're counting those days down.
In the face of complete opposition and facing your own mortality, you sort of embraced it in some ways and said, you know what? I'm going for it. You're not gonna beat me. And that actually has really spoken to me, Paul. Paul can do it, I can do it. And actually, I wanna face the storm. And I really feel like, Paul, you have given that to me, and you have super, super encouraged me in all of my gifts.
You know, in a way, we all have a terminal illness. We're all gonna die. Hey, man, I'm gonna pass away, you know, just like Paul is someday. And I just need to embrace that and just try and use every day and try and appreciate every day and try and be grateful for what I've got, grateful for my family, grateful for my wife, my kids, just to see his enthusiasm, his joy. It's very inspiring to me.
I got a couple of things that really helped, and one of them was from Keith Labnow. So let's have a big round of applause for Keith Labnow, who gave me this. So somebody suggested that I name my cancer. They need people who name their cancer, and so I called mine "Fuck Off." So I'd wear this when I go to Dana-Farber and I'm getting my treatments at Dana-Farber, and I'd see people in the waiting room, and they'd look at me, and I could tell they're looking at the hat, and they're looking at me, and they're just kind of, what do I do? And I look at them and just, and then you know what they do? They go. That's right.
We've always just been there for each other when things happen, and this is, I want to say, one of the more serious kind of situations for one of the members of our group. And when we all found out about it, everybody kind of reacted the same way. I said, what can we do? What can we do to help Paul? And practical things like, you know, providing replacement meals so that he doesn't have to worry about cooking and whatnot. And then when this project was announced, really, maybe just about a month ago, a big majority of the funds for this movie was raised by that group.
A 15-year-old actually who went to Luke's school years ago, there was this 15-year-old boy who had leukemia and who said that facing his death taught him that there's only really two things that are important in life, and one is our relationship with God, and the other is our relationship with the people we love.
I'm 10 days out of radiation. I'm absolutely exhausted. Walked up from the car. Man, I am so tired. I tell you, if somebody says they're tired and after they've had radiation, believe them and believe that, understand that it's a kind of tired that you have never, ever experienced.
Dr. Wen put me on a new medication that I go in every 2 weeks, and I get an IV. It's delivered by an IV, and that's what I'm on right now. It's called Avastin, and it's easy to remember because I think of it as the pirate drug. Avastin, ye mateys.
And so the current strategy is to combine these checkpoint inhibitors with strategies that increase the number of immune cells in the tumor. And so one strategy is to combine it with radiation. The radiation kills the tumor cells, and as the tumor cells die, the immune system sees it better. And so the immune cells come into the tumor. And then if you can add a drug to boost it, then hopefully it'll be more effective.
I'm gonna go back in 3 weeks for my my next MRI, and that's when we'll find out if it really is working.
When I first found out about him having cancer, I didn't really deal with it too much. I kind of just tried to stay away from my family. Hung out with my friends all the time. And then recently I started to put that towards positive things. I started getting into the gym, and that really helped take away the whole stress of the situation. I also started taking care of myself better, making sure that being more disciplined in everything that I do, and I'm just trying to focus on what's important.
I was depressed for weeks after I found out that he had brain cancer, and he was taking it so well, and so positive and living each day to its fullest. I had to change my whole outlook, no longer be a sad sack.
Sometimes you just rage against the elements themselves, and you look for community, sometimes among other widowed people, and sometimes among your faith group, and sometimes among people who can help you with the kids, and you hope that you can get through it, and you will.
Paul has always had the drive to improve himself, and whenever he comes across someone that will ask a question, he'll be helpful. It's always in, this is what it is, this is what you should do, even though a lot of people don't.
Enjoy today and know that your presence is meaningful. You're not just wasting away. Your presence is meaningful to the staff, to your family, to your friends.
My dad always says to me, you're stronger than you think you are, and you only find out when you have to be strong. You'll feel better about yourself. Your whole family will feel better, and there won't be anything, hanging over anybody's head.
I still believe in God, but faith is a struggle. Part of the story with Jacob was, not to quote the Bible, it's it's about a struggle. And so I've definitely seen a big part of that struggle in the last couple of months. to deal with it, I kind of just stayed busy and focused on the things that were like immediately present, like in, you know, like my school life. I focused on that every night. I also had a job after hockey ended. I focused on that. I didn't really feel an immense amount of pain. It was more of a gradual thing that was just kind of there.
I was coming home from a school trip, and I was just kind of thinking about everything. I kind of broke down then. That was kind of when I started to worry a little bit. You know, I was talking with the priest at my school about it. It was then that I kind of realized how many people love me. Once you realize that you are loved, it's a really incredible thing. And my dad is he's very good at expressing love for people. His just genuine love for people, his love for his family, me and my brothers.
There she is! Come here! Come here! This is my boo! This is my boo! No way! Oh, how you taking you? Come here, come here, come here. So this is my boo. She tells me, unfortunately, how fat I am every time I come here. And she takes my temperature, and she gives me a big smile and a hug. She's the best. She is the best. You are the best. And I love her. Oh, so much. It's good seeing you.
Tell us why Paul's the best.
Oh, his personality is amazing. You know, going through this is a lot, and his energy is just amazing as he comes in. It's amazing. I love seeing him. You're great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And there's a woman who cares about everybody. That's great.
Have a good day.
Okay, bye-bye. I was so glad you came by. I was hoping I'd see you.
What do you think Joyce is gonna do if Paul doesn't make it?
Well, I'll tell you what. I think because he was the oldest, that she's going to take it really bad, and I don't know whether she'll survive very long after that.
All right.
See, I'm still the one that tells you what to do.
Got up this morning nice and early. Get up here for my MRI. Very nervous. What typically happens is starting like 2 weeks, a week before my MRIs, the stress level just starts cranking up, and the day of the MRI, it's just at maximum. Pretty nervous though.
Yeah, I'm nervous. I've been here before, so I kind of know what to expect. But also, the last 2 times I've been here, we've gotten not so great news. So,
that's true.
Hello.
Dr. Gagne.
How are you? Good to see you.
See you too.
How are you doing?
We're fine.
You're looking great.
My son Ryan.
Hey, Ryan. How are you? Nice to meet you. How are you? How are you doing?
The tiredness is starting to go away.
Yeah.
Yesterday was the first day that I hadn't had to take a test.
You look great. Yeah, it's good news. It's good news. Yeah. The scan looks great. It's been a really nice response in the brain to the treatment. So yeah, nothing new. The area that we treated really has shrunk away very nicely.
Really?
Do you want to take a look?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So this was the scan before the radiation. This is the scan today, and it's the same sequence. You know, there still is a hint of something there. That could be scar tissue from the radiation. Just this sort of like little faint. So that could be scar tissue from the radiation. You know, it's a great response. You know, I'm pretty happy. You know, it's probably a combination of both the the radiation and glioblastoma. Well, look, Paul, it's been great. I'm
thank you
delighted
so
that
much.
it's good news.
Yes.
And we'll keep a check on it.
I am delighted to hear good news.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Thank you so
Take
much.
care. Okay.
All right.
But
Take care.
Lovely meeting you.
Nice to meet
Okay.
you.
Take care. Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Paul. How's it going?
Really good.
Prepare ourselves to receive the gift of the sacrament by having a silent prayer, confessing any sins, any burdens, anything weighing heavily on our hearts. But today I know our hearts are more filled with rejoicing. So may God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May God look upon you with blessing and grant you peace in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Amen.
Today feels like a day of redemption. It's a new day.
A new day. Amen.
It just speaks to his character, and he has every reason in the world maybe to complain or be down, and yet what is he doing? He's getting up every day and he's saying, like, I'm gonna give back. I'm not just gonna maintain, I'm not just gonna persevere and endure through this. I'm gonna transform it right into something good. So when I heard that Paul wanted to do a film to help other people, yeah, just makes sense. That's the magnanimous kind of guy that he is.
There is always hope, and every day brings a new cure. So you have to keep that in mind, and you have to have faith. Use that faith to live their life, because every day is a gift. That's why they call it the present. And I am grateful for every day I have, and I know Paul is too.
In terms of, why has Paul done so well? Is right now, and he's had a really excellent response to treatment. When people have a difficult diagnosis like Paul, continue to enjoy life, try and keep things as normal as possible, and do things that they enjoy.
When someone asks me, how are you doing? Which is the question that everyone gets, especially with the tilt of the head. That part annoys me. How are you? How you doing? I just tell them, I have good days and bad days, just like everybody else. Because that's all it is. This is life. We have good days and we have bad days, and we just go forward. We just keep going.
I'm really grateful that Erich realized this is a story that needs to be told. Initially I was thinking about this little note, these few notes for about 30 or 40 or 50 of my friends that I was in Europe with when I was in college so many years ago. And then it expanded a little bit to a book that I could give to my kids, and also to anybody else that had a glioblastoma or had cancer, was associated with Dana-Farber, but it was not going to be big. It was very small and contained. And now, with this opportunity, with what I've been given now as, the inspiration that Erich has given me, is that this is so much bigger than that, because there's so many people out there that have deadly diseases that are terminal and they're afraid, or they're just getting a diagnosis that they have a terminal disease and they don't know what to do, where to turn. And their first instinct is to go into their bedroom, turn out the lights, hide under the covers, and just cry. And I understand that. You know, I absolutely understand that. But there is another thing that you can do, and that is to look at the world around you and say, boy, things are beautiful. This is a beautiful day. Wow, what a great experience. Look up at the sky and the patterns that the clouds make, and the birds and the grass and the flowers and the animals, and realize that this world is a beautiful place, and I can't just hide under the covers. I need to be out there, and even if I've only got a few days, I need to live those few days and enjoy this beautiful world that God created. And I strongly believe that we were put on this earth for other people. We were not put on here just for ourselves. And so I want to tell everybody else that you need to find out why you're here. And I'm convinced that a part of that, not the whole thing maybe necessarily, but a part of that is you're here to help somebody else. And I don't know how that's going to be, or how you're going to help that other person, or who that other person is for you. But I want you to get out there, find that person who needs your help, and help them. And do what you need to do to make this world a better place for somebody else. And it can be something small and something simple, or something huge. And just like I talked about how all those people help you out with those one thing at a time, you know, they can only do one little thing. You can maybe only do one little thing for somebody, but everybody else coming together, that makes a huge difference in a person's life. And it may just be that one thing is all they need in order to make their lives better. And if that's all they need, you're the person to do that. And you need to get out there and you need to do that for them. And that's why you're on this earth, is to make this world a better place.
When I see my sons are 21, 19, and 16. And every time that I see them, I give them a hug and I kiss and I tell them that I love them. Because that's the message that I want them to hear. If it's the last thing that I say to them, I want them to know that I love them. And I'll always love them.
It's nice. Take a breath, bro.
know one answer to how do you prepare a person for death, because we're doing it too. You know, I'm on that same journey. So I would say the best thing that I can do, it goes back to that ministry of presence, to be a human being to another human being, and to try to just be present to them. But I would say also offering them the gift of hope. You know, we talk about eternal life, we talk about heaven. We have to be bold about those realities and confident about them, about offering that message, so that that individual knows that that this is not the end of the story. And that's equally as important for those who remain, that we, you know, encourage family members to understand. There's a great line in the liturgy of the funeral rite that the Catholic priest will recite during the funeral mass, and it says that in death, life is changed but not ended. In death, life is changed but not ended. And I often say that's true of the relationships too, that our relationships with our loved ones when they pass away, it's changed, not ended.
To cover ourselves, could it be more like he's talking to himself, kind of, or like, oh, I'm gonna put this in here now.
Fuck! Shit! Dude, you scared the hell out of me, man. Was that for real?
I might have accidentally got that, because I was pointing the camera this way.
I hope you enjoyed the last 60 plus minutes with the documentary Living with the Odds. And I want to share with you the fact that, you know, you saw it, Paul did not survive his cancer, but he definitely beat the odds. The odds for glioblastoma are only 14.9 months. That is the average or median. I'm now at 13 plus years as a cancer survivor. So what I can show you is that you can survive this, and I know people that are even longer lived than I am. And if you'd like to donate to Dana-Farber and the brain tumor research, you go to our website, livingwiththeodds.com, and you can donate there. If you have someone else in your family or friends that are fighting a different kind of cancer, go to that cancer's website or donate to them. It doesn't matter. It's do something about it. That's what we're trying to encourage, is that we have hope and we persevere through this. And these are some of the ways that give us a reason to be. It's certainly given me a reason to try and keep going every day and stay positive, because I get to help other people through the same cancer that I'm battling. And I just want to thank you again for watching this documentary. And you can reach out to us and the family and all of us through livingwiththeodds.com. Hope you have a great evening. Take care.